How did you come out of poverty, being broke? Sacrificed comfort and focused on getting the bare minimum of what I need and how to get more money. I ate ramen and bread, slept outside, and took a shower when I could. I got a job at Walmart, then Ross, the clothing store. Found a cheap motel to stay at with the girlfriend and we scrimped and saved. But $33 a night on a $50 a day salary eats at you and it was impossible to save. Like it would have been years before I could have afforded just a car to make sure I got to work on time. So I moved into my father's place and could save up for a car. They paid for my TESOL and I used a lifetime of miles from flying between my mother and father to get a ticket to Poland, sold the car and found myself eating potatoes in Polska till I got a job teaching English. Then the gold PLN was steady. Moral of this story is that poverty is a scary fucking thing and it's really hard to get out of it without friends and family. There's no easy way out and the longer you're there the deeper the holes get, especially if you start borrowing money. I still like to travel on nothing sometimes though. Hitchhike, couchsurf, and eat nothing but bread for months. Married my way out of it. I had no idea her family were doing well because they live so frugally, but when I moved in with them to save money, after marrying her as they put it, I was put in charge of managing everyone's bills and credit cards. When I saw my father and mother-in-law's bank accounts, I at first thought it was a mistake, but when I raised it with my wife she was like no, that sounds normal. I nearly fainted. I know for bloody sure that their grandkids are going to want for nothing. Being at the right place, at the right time, talking to the right people. You can be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't know how to play the social game, and have a lot of luck, it sadly isn't going to happen. Read, learned, exercised, went to night school, got a GED, went to university, got a loan for that, learned to live on beans and rice for 6 years, got a contract job in my industry, worked, studied, learned, took every minute of work that came my way. Gained the trust of the middle-class people around me, made them believe I wasn't some white trash loser. Read, learned, exercised, saved up $10,000, started my own business, struggled for years, failed many times and finally got here. I am 52 and still working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Sad but true. No easy options for me, unfortunately. I was homeless, bouncing from shelter to shelter, hustling, running weed and pills for people to scrape together a session at the end of the day. One day my cousin took me with him to a place called Labor Ready. It's just a place where construction companies etc. pick up a day laborer, and at the end of the day you go back to the office and they cut you a check for the day's work. Well, when I got to that job site, the other punks I was working with from the agency were lazy and slow and complaining all day, barely doing anything. It pissed me off. We were hired to work. So I worked my absolute guts out. We were digging mud out of the basement of an abandoned farmhouse that was being restored. The boss came during the day and saw me carrying 2 steel 5-gallon pails filled to the top with mud up the stairs and out the back door constantly, while the other 2 were barely filling 1 2-gallon drywall mud pail. He took me aside and said, "You're not going back to the agency tomorrow, you're hired." From there I continued to work my guts out for him and eventually was promoted from laborer to a carpenter's apprentice. I learned a few trades there since they were a general contractor. From there I moved on to other companies and continued learning new trades. Today I'm a jack of all trades, making good pay. I do everything: windows and doors, flooring, brick and concrete repair, drywall, mud and tape, tile, siding and aluminum, you name it. I've got my own brand new van, fully kitted out with all the best tools I could possibly need to do any job. And my work is appreciated because I am meticulous and hard-working. And that's how I went from pinching out of weed bags and sleeping at a mission to owning a house and vehicles with a good job. I went back to school at 24 to get a degree in CS, got an internship at a big tech company and converted it to a full-time offer at the end of the internship. Now I make insane money. I worked full-time with a lot of mandatory overtime during the entire period I was in college. It was brutal, but ended up being worth it. I grew up with drug-addicted, alcoholic parents. I've worked every day since I was 16 and stay far away from my family. My wife and kids are my rock and keep me working hard and pushing to be better. Pro tip: Leave your small town and never look back. Take control and grab life by the horns. I sacrificed time with my family to work extra hours. Yes, it was worth it, but it still hurts when my kids tell me that the only memories they had of me in those times was of me sleeping or being at work. Grew up poor. I am good at learning and my country has affordable education. Getting into university is a matter of getting a diploma from the right level high school, which I did. I then went to university and got a good job. I now pay more in taxes than my education cost the government. It should be that simple anywhere. As a former banker and financial advisor, the best advice is have an actual plan. I've seen so many people, even ones who make great money, who are always totally broke and can never achieve their goals because they have never taken the time to sit down and formulate a realistic plan to get there. They just have a dream and go through life always assuming it will happen eventually. My wife and I set a goal to be mostly retired and living on our sailboat by 40. She used to roll her eyes at me when I pulled out my notebook every month or two and completely reevaluated every step in getting there. Well, I'm sitting here typing this from my boat on the way to the Caribbean at 39. Taught myself a second language between the ages of 16 and 17, impressed some Rotarians and they whisked me away from the horrors of the trailer park and made me an exchange student. So then instead of being a trash man or at best a truck driver, I became a linguist. Of course later in life I reverted back to abject poverty, but that's a different story. Good scholarship to private uni, got the first major related job by being able to talk to PPL, not necessarily skill. Made a bunch of connections. Those connections got me references and doors open to other better paying jobs. Never burn bridges. Words are powerful and even when you think no one is listening. Also, a lot of fucking luck. 50% perseverance and working my way up the corporate ladder. 50% rich boyfriend who paid for our entertainment so my money could go to paying off debts. Could have done it without the boyfriend, but I would have had to make many more sacrifices, so I'm grateful he allowed me to enjoy my life while recovering from poverty. My mum worked 3 jobs to put me through uni. I worked a job at near full-time hours. If I wasn't at uni, I was at work. If I wasn't at work or uni, I was studying. If I wasn't doing any of those things, I was sleeping. Literally had no social life. After uni I got an entry-level job in my field, marketing, and still worked a second job on top of that so I could make ends meet. Eventually I moved into the marketing team at big corporate retailer and worked up from there. I didn't quit my second job until I started making over $80,000 per year. 3 years later and I now earn $135,000 per year at the same company and love it. I also own an investment property with my brother and Sil, shares, a motorbike, and was just able to purchase a new vehicle in December last year. I have always gotten the hand-me-down cars from family members. It was not easy. It was foo hard. I missed out on so much in my late teens and early 20s to make sure I could get ahead. There were times that I had to ask mom and dad for help here and there, which at the same time, they were just getting their own businesses off the ground. I did all of what they tell you not to do, was first in the office, last to leave. Always said yes to extra work even though there were times I thought I could be taken advantage of, etc., and it paid off big time. I have never been on major overseas holidays, Europe, America, etc., and instead used that money for my down payment on my investment property. I am also open and honest about the fact I wouldn't not have been able to afford the investment property without my brother and Sil going halves with me, and I'm forever grateful for that. The sacrifices I made helped me sleep at night because I now know I'll never live paycheck to paycheck ever again. Hard work and a huge dose of luck. I was a rock star at my former job. My former boss got a new job offer, and he asked me to follow him to the new company. I got a $15,000 per year raise doing the exact same job. But that job never would have existed if he hadn't taken the job he did. He created it for me. 12 years later and he's long gone, but I'm still here, and making just shy of double what I started off at after a few internal role changes.
Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more content.